And, yes, Sony had a state of play, but no, that's not where they announced it. And also, we had Sony's head, Jim Ryan, have a very extensive interview, but no, that's not where you announce it. So PSVR2 was announced in a blog post.
What the heck?
And I think for the most part, people are a bit meh on the news, but I think this is really massive news just from a VR perspective. And I said this to a mate who is huge on VR, absolutely loves it, uses it every day, that PSVR is the market share leader in VR in the world. And he's like laughing like, you're an idiot. No, it's not. And then we started looking at the figures and the numbers and he's like, oh, geez, it is. But even with that, PSVR on the PS4 didn't even sell as much as the iToy did back on the PS2.
Wow.
So just on that note, that's just proof that you just never question into God.
Yes. Never question the authority. But the price point was really good on that, right? I mean, when you think about it, the entry point to having VR on a PC, yes, graphically it's going to be better, whatever, is massive. You need a $2,000 PC. You need another, at the time, at least when PSVR was around, you needed to fork out at least like what, $600-700 for a VR headset. I'm talking about when PSVR came out. Whereas PSVR was at the $450 mark from memory. Sometimes you could get it down. I got my set for about $270 or something.
Oh, that's a good deal.
Brand
Australian.
new. It was
that's a really good
Australian.
Deal.
That was a really
US,
good deal. Yeah. They sometimes went on special to that price point, which was insanely good for what you get. And I can see why it was way more accessible. And a lot of people had a PlayStation. And on top of that, I can fork out another $400 and get this way, way cheaper than trying to do it on PC. Yeah.
And it seems like they're looking at the PSVR and addressing most of the main concerns that people have. So with the PSVR 1, it was a mess of wires, boxes, breakout boxes, plugs, everything. And most people that I heard, like you included, Mike, really loved it, but very painful to set up. Where do you store it? Where do you put it? How do you connect it in? I know that people are disappointed that this is a single cord device. Personally, I actually like that because, to have wireless setup, it is actually very annoying from a VR perspective. Often you'll have to have, better than the standard Wi-Fi that most people have. So I think it's like Wi-Fi AC or Wi-Fi 6 as some people refer to it as, which is really rare at the moment. Again, in the future it'll be common, but not right now. And also with the Move controllers, they were built for PS3 to copy the Wii. So they were never really designed for VR without VR in mind. And it very much appears that they want to take the good things of the DualSense, but honestly, I think everyone knows that what they're going to do is they're going to look to copy what Oculus is doing with the Quest and other VR sets where they have the tracking cameras embedded into the visor itself that then has, something on the controllers to then send the signal back rather than having breakout boxes.
Sensors.
Yeah, which I think that to me makes sense. You've got to remove as many barriers as possible to VR. And I think a cord is not a bad thing. I think if
a cord is a good thing.
Decent length, it's going to be fine.
It's definitely a decent length. Yeah. So the one thing that I did absolutely, I can echo those thoughts that stopped me from enjoying my PlayStation VR is it was a mess to set up because you need the camera, so you got to figure a place for that. You got to put that in. You need a bazillion different cables. And honestly, without the instruction book, I still struggle trying to figure out how to set it up because it's kind of obvious once you do it, but there's just so many cables going left, right, and center. It becomes really annoying. And having used the Oculus now and having enjoyed, at least as a standalone, the freedom of not having a cable, to me, that is definitely the future of VR. It's the number one, I think, barrier to mass adoption, to be honest, having that sense of proper freedom of movement. And PSVR was far from it. It had way too many barriers to be able to do that. Now, in terms of the cable itself, I totally agree with what he said, but I think there's also, there are quite a few people, I think, that do have the technology required to get a semi-decent wireless solution going. So it would have been nice if it's an option that they'll enable. Now, I don't know if they didn't say it doesn't work wirelessly in that sense. They just said it's a single cable. We've tried to make everything easier, which makes sense because that's the kind of marketing you want. But I do hope that they have the option available as well to have some sort of a wireless ability if you happen to have, the Wi-Fi network and everything required to do that. Because that would be
I don't
sick.
think it would. Like,
It probably won't.
if you
but I'm
read
like,
the press
come on.
release, just the way it's structured and stuff like that, I don't think they would. And I think also don't forget that I think they would want to make this as cheap as possible to allow the barriers to lower even further. And the more processing you do, and then if you have wireless, it means then you have a lithium battery. You need a way to charge that. You need, all of these kind of things. And I know that this is like down in the weeds, but even with lithium batteries, that means the way you ship it, the way you send it around the world.
Yeah,
there's
of course,
actually
there's
a lot of
implications,
restrictions,
yeah.
and
But I mean, look at
it just
Oculus.
keeps on adding the cost, right?
It does. But I think I would suspect, I don't know, there's probably numbers somewhere out there that maybe Facebook are making a loss on the Oculus 2 devices.
Yeah, I would not be shocked at all.
I wouldn't be shocked either.
I actually can't even believe how, just for context, just quickly, like Oculus Quest, which is what you're talking about, the Quest 2?
Quest 2,
Yep. So what it is essentially a fairly decent Android phone without the phone functionality, but like a fairly decent Android phone, like good CPU, good battery, and pretty high def screens, and headphones, and these controllers, which I don't think are cheap either, just given some of the tech in them, and cameras, all for what is it, like $299 US? Like
yeah. I ordered one for
how's it possible that they couldn't
420
be losing
Australian
money? Yeah,
it's insane. Like I don't see how, because not only do they obviously work with PC as well, because we'll talk about it in a bit when we talk about Half-Life Alyx, but they're standalone and they work extremely well standalone. So they've got the battery in there, they've got the performance required to be able to do it all standalone. Battery life is fairly decent. Controllers are 100% standalone. Literally, there's no wires whatsoever. You turn it on, you download a game, you play it in VR. It's insane. To do all of that for $300 US or in dollaroos, you can get it on Amazon now for 420 imported.
Yeah,
it's the
but
international version, but still,
it's like
sorry, that's
$470.
dollary dues. Thank
dollary
you. very much,
dues.
right?
Yes,
I think it's more
The
like
important correction and big weekend corrections.
it's a live correction.
Look,
it's more like 480 or 460.
it's 480. It is
But that's
479
cheap for what it
officially,
is.
but that's still cheap.
That's
Absolutely,
crazy.
I think it's
That's
extremely cheap. I mean, think about what it required originally. So when I still have the Gear VR from Samsung, and I don't remember exactly how much it was, but I swear it was like around $130 just for the device itself, and it was a glorified cardboard, Google Cardboard kind of device, really, in the end, because you still had to plug your own phone in. And a lot of the phones that you needed at the time to use this were like $1,000 phones. So I know back then I had the Note 6 Edge Plus or whatever it was to be able to do it. Whereas now the whole package is at most, if you actually order it through the official channel in Australia, under $500, and that's actually pretty cheap for VR. So we're not advertising Oculus, and by the way, I know that there's a whole bunch of people and ourselves as well that have a huge issue with Facebook forcing you to log in.
You own one, but
No, I'm borrowing one just like
buying
you,
one, aren't you?
but I have ordered one. Yes.
yeah. Well, so you don't have an issue with it, but
I still have an issue with it, but I'm willing to kind of go, you know what? It's still no. I will let them. I will let them. Have their way with me.
Can I just
because it's a good value device, and it's a way cheaper entry point into PC VR than actually buying. Because the next thing is something like a HP that's twice the price.
Last week you were fighting and arguing that if you don't have ethics, if you don't have morals, if you don't work for Activision,
I
but
know.
you yourself say you hate Facebook and don't believe in it and don't like it, and then you're going to go pay money and sign up to their data interrogation program.
Yeah, but my account has nothing on it. I don't know what they're gonna get.
Oh, but you got to be careful with that. People have done that. They've set up
it's
fake
not.
accounts.
It's not a fake account. It's a real account. It's just it's not. I don't have anything there. I don't really.
Do you have
I don't have
friends
any.
on it?
No, I don't.
Okay,
You can still have a legitimate account, but not have any friends.
Do you have trackers? Do you have like all that stuff box siloed off in your browser? Because otherwise, it will start collect all that.
Yeah,
information
it will track on everything.
Maybe. I think I have my girlfriend added to it. That's it.
Well, that
and of
just
course
opens the door.
it opens the door. But again, I don't give a shit because congrats, there's nothing they do, and I don't plan on getting anything through the official Oculus store.
Anyway, let's go back to PSVR. But look, like I think so. PSVR when it launched, it was $399 US. So I feel like with this,
about
they
right.
would want to still try to target like a 349 US, maybe even 299 if they can. And that's why I'm actually glad to see the whole cable thing, because some people won't have good wireless, then they'll have a bad experience with it, then they'll go, this doesn't work. I just think like try to keep it simple as possible and try to keep it as cheap as possible. And if that means that for the most part, they've got very low end, cheap CPU on there with a very good screen, good sound, very good controllers, and just a single cable going straight in, I'd pretty much almost guarantee I'll get it. And I actually think that this is why as well. If you look at the PS5, you'll notice that like the ports are like right in the middle, like right in the center. Like it's not an accident that they were put there. And also there's a USB-C port right in the middle of the PS5. And I'm almost certain that, it's with the thought of, the next VR unit will just be a USB-C cable that goes straight into the middle of the front of the PS5.
Yeah.
Which kind of gives it the
Seeing that
most
too.
maximum room to move and everything like that. The one thing that I'm really keen to know is because you can see this, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later. They've been pushing more into PC, and I think they noticed that they sell a game on PC, it doesn't hurt their PlayStation sales. It just grows it grows the pie. It doesn't shrink the pie or cut it up in different ways. So I really, really, really hope that, because I don't think there's anyone else in the market who's going to do this. So I really hope that PSVR2 is from the start able to be a PC VR unit.
Because you can use the original ones on PC, but it's a hack job.
Yeah, it's a very...
I have used them. It's a hack job.
It's a mess. I don't want to do that.
Well, at least when I tried it, you had to have special software. But yeah, absolutely agree.
And it's like a lot of stuff that I don't want to install onto my PC.
Same, yeah. You want it out of the box.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, they're already porting a lot of the games. You're absolutely right. It's extra money for them. So
it would be like, and for them, I don't know the downside if they allowed it to be a PC VR unit, really.
What is the downside? They sell more units because there's people who think it's a great price point and it's a competitor potentially to the Oculus.
That's probably where it gets into. Are they selling it at a loss or not? Because if they're trying to sell it at a loss, they may not want a lot of people buying it on PC who aren't in the PlayStation ecosystem.
Yeah, potentially.
But I mean, they could start up their own PlayStation store. I mean, this is kind of getting me on this train of thought of, are PlayStation going to open up a PlayStation Store app on Windows and start selling their games through that? I feel like that's a real possibility. Then they could link that in through the PSVR unit. I don't know. I'm really keen. I got my eye on this because I will not ever buy an Oculus.
Got my eye on you.
So, and I don't see anyone else getting the market with a competitive price. I mean, Xbox, come at us. Like, please, make a VR unit. Like, make it...
I reckon they will.
I'd almost probably... it's hard because I'm not an Xbox person, but yeah, if it was a good one, I'd look into it. I'd wait for PSVR 2. So... No, I'm really excited about it. I think it's really cool. And I've been desperate to play Astrobot, which is, it's hard to say because it's not the first time Astro has been in a game. He was in another game before, but yeah, that's the probably one of the best VR games from what I've heard. So I'm really, really keen to play that because you've played that, Mike, right?
No, I actually haven't. There's a few. I've got a whole. So I bought a whole bunch of VR games on PlayStation. No joke, probably about 30 of them at least. And I think I played 2.
Oh, wow.
So I've got a whole backlog. So I'm looking forward, now that I have that cable that I received in the mail, I'm looking forward to taking out the PS.
You're not joking about buying too many games in past
years.
No,
man. I'm not joking. I had so many. I had at least 10 physical copies. Arizona Sunshine, the Robinson, the Journey, whatever that's called.
Robinson Crusoe.
I forget what it's called. There's so many. I bought. Oh my gosh, what's the flight game? Ace Combat, just because of the VR component of it. Did I ever play it? Nope.
But you definitely play Astro. Like a lot of people gave that game of the year in the year it came out.
Wow. So. Okay. Now I'll do it for sure. So I've got the cable. That was actually my plan this week, especially in light of the news we just had.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into more Sony news. So the PlayStation State